right, so here we are at Trace3's annual Evolve conference. Sean, great to see you again here. So let's dive into this really quick here. So as our leader for strategic engagements in contact center and collaboration, I've heard you talk a lot lately around CX economy or customer experience economy. And honestly, I haven't had the chance to hear the full talk track from you. So could you maybe take me through a little bit of, what is it? What is CX economy?
Sure. Yeah. CX economy is really a marker in the industry right now that we're using to really indicate that we've shifted. The entire industry has shifted. We're moving away from sort of the transactional engagement models, which we've seen kind of historically in our area, and we're moving more towards sort of the relationship-driven or emotionally driven decisions, and really trying to build engagement with our consumers and clients, right? So right now in the industry, we're seeing a shift where brand loyalty is incredibly fragile. It's very easy these days to move between brands as you see fit. As a consumer, we're all consumers as well. So really, mobility is very high right now in the industry. In terms of competition, it's very stiff right now. Your competitor is really just a few mouse clicks and a credit card swipe away from you. So really, it's a big shift in business models that we're seeing out there.
Yeah, so I mean, would you say it's mostly about customer success then, or?
So that's a part of it, right? But it goes way beyond that. Really, our design philosophy now is really zeroing in on hyper-personalized experiences where, I think we've all had that experience where you maybe engage with a brand and they say your name, and that's not really what we're talking about here. We're talking about really getting beyond that 5-star experience, which is kind of the baseline these days, really. That's the table stakes now, right? So now we're talking about how do we get to that 6, 7, 10-star experience that's beyond that, really meeting people where they are and engaging them in that way.
Yeah. So, I mean, would you say this is really focused just on like external customers primarily, or does it kind of go beyond that?
Yeah, great question. So there is a lens that focuses inside the organization also, right? The employee experience is a piece of that, right? That umbrella, because really you have two sides of that equation to really focus on, and really looking at the employee as a consumer is an important shift in that mentality also. One of the things is those are the keepers of your interaction, those employees who are really engaging with your clients. One of the recent studies that I've read shows that about 8 to 10 good interactions it takes now to wipe out a bad interaction, which is really a threat to your brand. It's there's some negative drag that happens when you have those negative experiences, especially with mobility being so high.
Yeah, 8 to 10 to recover. I don't feel like people, once you've had a bad interaction, you even get those 8 to 10 chances again. So let's.
Yeah, if you even get the chance, it's a lot of energy, a lot of calories spent really trying to recover from that bad experience. I do want to pivot a little bit though and ask you kind of from your perspective on the collaboration side of this, as the leader of our collab portfolio, how are you seeing that employee experience really emerge in the market right now?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the employee experience, I actually feel like the last few years has kind of fallen to the wayside, right? There's been so much focus around AI and what it can do to transform our customer interactions that, the employee experience side of things hasn't necessarily followed through. So getting into that now, we're starting to see a lot more attention shift back to that. And what can we do? What have we been doing in the customer experience side of things, and how can we leverage that to now transform really our employee experience? So it's not just around our employee to customer interactions, but like our employee to employee interactions.
Yeah. So that's interesting. Can you tell me a little bit more about how kind of specifically you're seeing that show up? Is there tooling or other tools around AI or other frames that you're seeing kind of from a technology perspective?
Yeah. I mean, in the market right now, we're actually seeing like a lot of the manufacturers. Let's take Cisco for example, right? Really doubling down on the WebEx workspace, right? The workspace, the actual employee suite for where they do their job, right? So it's not just WebEx meetings. It's not just a phone system, right? You have your meetings, you have your phone, you have your chat, you have document sharing, and all these things kind of collapsing into a single workspace to make it easier for employees to do their job, interact with each other. So that's probably one example there, I could say.
Yeah. So really, when it's done right, how does all that really look when it's done in concert from sort of the we talked about the consumer side of this and now the employee side of it. When you kind of look at that holistically, what does that really look like when you get to a concrete example?
Yeah, it looks like all of your employees being empowered and enabled to do their jobs from anywhere effectively. right? So if we look at the broader Cisco portfolio, right, you have the hybrid work model, right? We've got Meraki and all these devices to enable connectivity from anywhere or connectivity throughout our premises. We have Cisco Spaces, right? We can bring sensors in from our buildings to analyze business analytics to see how well our spaces are being used, right? So we can look at conference rooms, and it's like, nobody's using this conference room, so now we can go and investigate and see why, right? And maybe it's the temperature's always uncomfortable, or maybe the furniture's not comfortable or broken, right? So we can now incorporate so much sensor data, and right, so much of this like improvement resides in data, but we can leverage this sensor data to really turn around and start transforming our employee workspaces to attract them. We want to attract top talent, we want to retain top talent, and it's not really always about just having, we have a gym or like food service, in our buildings. Like, we need to make sure that the job itself is enjoyable and easy to do. So there's been a great focus on those aspects and kind of really a transformative wave coming with that. So, and I want to kind of pivot back to you on here. So, when we're doing that, there's a bit of a convergence happening, I think, between both CX and EX, right? Employee experience. What are you what are you seeing there? Like, what are your thoughts on the collapse of those two things?
Yeah, it's a good lens to look at this entire conversation through, because there really are implications on both sides of this from that interaction standpoint. But the real convergence happens when a consumer really needs to or chooses to engage with your brand, right? That could start with some sort of an agentic chatbot. It could happen through a voice channel. At some point, that's probably going to escalate to a human-to-human interaction, and that's really where the magic happens, and needs to make sure that if there's been any friction on either side of that kind of equation, you're already starting from a point of negativity on one side or the other, or maybe both. If that employee has a bad experience getting that inbound interaction or receiving that somehow, or if that consumer has had just a tough time getting through your IVA and had to scream agent 75 times to get out to a person, right? You're already starting from a poor brand experience in that lens, right? And you can only hope at that point that it gets better. And as we both know, hope is really not a strategy. So,
yeah, absolutely. So, are you seeing the technology really play a key role in this then?
Yeah. Absolutely. We're seeing the emergence of AI tools at a pace that's unprecedented in the industry. There has been no sort of evolution of our space that's happened faster than what we're seeing right now. So really the entire design principle that we're after is reducing friction on both sides of that, as I said, and really making that kind of an experience that gets the right information into the right person at the right time, regardless of how they're choosing to interact with your brands.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm assuming that you also see some interactions like this and the technology shining through on the collab side as well. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely, right. So I kind of alluded to this earlier that what we're seeing from an AI standpoint has been heavily focused on our customer interactions. So when you look at CX and contact centers, right, there's agent assist is a big thing in this space where arming our agents, those interacting with the customers, with the right information at the right time, and trying to make those interactions faster, maybe even a bit more personalized. So taking all the experience and thing that's been happening in that space and bringing it down to the employee level for like our employee-to-employee interactions. There shouldn't be any reason that those interactions are only automated when talking to a customer. I should be able to shoot you a message asking about a recent opportunity or like a document you worked on that there isn't some agent that automatically provides that information to you to send back to me or even back to myself without your involvement, right? Yeah. How can we reduce the amount of like touch points or interactions that we have to have with each other, right? Because that takes away from your time to be more innovative, honestly, and just work on the things that are very strategic and require critical thinking. So.
Yeah, absolutely, and getting proactive in that beyond even just this inbound sort of reactive mode. A lot of what we're doing, I think, today is really looking at opportunities to become proactive in that engagement and reach out. But we, as a brand owner, we should already know what the problems are that the folks are facing out there. Yeah. Can you talk to us a little bit about how kind of we as Trace3 are helping our clients navigate that journey from wherever they're starting?
Yeah, absolutely. This really all starts with the conversation, right? So, we maybe call it a little bit of a readiness assessment, right? Where are you at today? Where are you at today in your business journey? How are you interacting with each other? How are you interacting with your clients, right? Let's look at both the EX and the CX today. What are you doing? What tools are you using? What's effective? What isn't? So let's start off by just kind of looking how ready are you for transformation, and then from there, right, we dig into the envisioning aspect of things. So let's talk about the future. Where do you want to be? What are your competitors doing? How can we change that? How can we align the appropriate technologies to really transform all of your interactions, whether again internal or external, into the future?
Yeah. So once all that planning is done, and we're sure we've got a good solid base to work from, then what happens?
From there, it's really full send, right? From there, it turns into executing. So we also deploy all of these solutions. So it's not just about planning and consulting on it; it's about making it a reality. So we take the technologies that we determine, make the most sense for you, and we help you actually deploy them, help you realize those gains, make sure that we're driving adoption, make sure, for both your employees and your customers that it's helping drive your business to where you envisioned your organization going. And I mean, it really shouldn't stop there either, right? Once it's done, we don't really walk away, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we have full managed services practices to kind of take care of the day 2 and onward, right? So we kind of value that entire life cycle because to your point, right? Just because we've completed to your point, just because we've delivered the platform doesn't mean that the work is done, right? Yeah. There's still change management, there's still kind of risk assessments, there's all sorts of things that go on from both a security and a delivery perspective to manage that platform through changes and incidents and sort of kind of all the edges around that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's an exciting time to see really both the CX and EX sides really converging, and I don't want to necessarily say flattening out, but really, converging, honestly, is the best word for it. It's exciting to see where everything's going right now, and for us to be able to kind of deliver that that first conversation all the way through to delivering it and helping maintain and sustain that transformation and evolution as the industry moves on too.
Yeah, absolutely, and we're really looking at it. One of the virtuous cycles is really what we're talking about here, where the employee experience really impacts the consumer experience, which ultimately leads to just better business outcomes for all of our clients, and that's really what we're after. So, yeah, thanks for sharing your insights today, Tony. Appreciate the time.
Yeah, absolutely. This is fun. Great talking with you again.
Yeah, thanks.